Hey, welcome to Caching in the Northwest. You know this is the official podcast of GeoWoodstock 18 right here in the great Pacific Northwest. Now, it's Thursday at 9 p.m. Pacific. I'm Chris of the Northwest, and we're going to talk about geocaches and geocachers from here and all around the globe. So while you're giving up on Cinderella teams, we'll be caching in the Northwest.
And tonight we're talking about Signals Labyrinth. Sounds very ominous. I have no idea what it is. I'm excited to learn about it. And if you want to learn about it, or if you know something about it, or if you just want to contribute a comment or two or a question, we want to hear from you. Join into the chat, won't you please? We know you will. We love hearing from you. I am Wits End, and it's time to bring in our labyrinthian lemur. Some say his tattoo artist charges him by the meter. And others say his personality, oh, well, it's sweeter than a Hallmark movie. All we know is he's called Land Monkey.
Hey, good to be here. Glad to join everybody and our special guest, Genevieve. Nice to have you on the podcast. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Very excited to be here.
Wonderful.
That'll
Awesome.
pass.
Sorry?
That'll pass.
Well, let's enjoy the enthusiasm
Yeah,
while it's there.
more or less.
All right. Well, before we jump into tonight's topic with Genevieve, of course, a quick reminder that we appreciate the support of our patrons who help to keep the podcast coming each and every week. A special thanks to Land Sharks, one of our corporate Denali level sponsors. Folks, tonight is the final night. I don't know what's going on with my green screen back there. All right, I'm going to have to fix that later. Tonight is the final night for the huge Land Sharks annual sale. So get your orders in before midnight Pacific for any and all of the deals. Check it all out on landsharks.ca. And also remember, if you are interested in attending GeoWoodstock, registration packages are available. Sign up for that. Hey, and we are looking for volunteers. So go to the volunteer page, sign up. We'd love to have you help. That's at geowoodstock.com. And last but certainly not least, our other corporate Denali level sponsor. Well, that is Gold Country Geotourism. Visit exploregoldcountry.com to learn more about the Geo Tour and the region. Spring has sprung, the grass has riz. I wonder where the Gold Country caches is. Well, let's go find out. If you want to know more about supporting this podcast, well, why don't you click on that Patreon link on the cachingandw.com, a website. And while Chris is muted.
And so that was how I earned my first million. And then, from there, it was much easier. Oh, and it wasn't on Land Monkey's poetry either. Hey, if you want to join in to tonight's chat, use the hashtag Signal. Now, you can always put things into the hashtag FATAS, and we'll bring that up in the after show. And hey, we want to know what you have cooking tonight. So use the hashtag podcast baking to let us know what's in the oven.
Yes, indeed. Well, we have welcomed our guest. Folks, you are probably accustomed to us maybe running through some news and also doing the glow. We're going to push that to the back end of the show tonight because Genevieve is on the timer. Rock Chalk apparently told her she only has so many minutes to get everything in or she's in trouble. And we don't want to get her in trouble with Rock Chalk because we all know how he can be sometimes. So we're going to just jump right into tonight's topic with Genevieve. Genevieve, why don't you, if you don't mind, tell us a little bit about what you do at HQ and maybe your favorite type of geocaching adventure.
Sure thing. So I work at Geocaching HQ on the marketing team, and the marketing team takes care of all kinds of things for HQ. And what I work on in particular is the Geocaching HQ blog, also the newsletters that we send out. And then I also help out with the leaderboard and souvenir challenges that we have. And as far as my kind of ideal favorite geocaching adventure, I once went on a really great cache outing that was biking from cache to cache just here in Seattle. And it was like a gorgeous day. So I'm sure that influenced the reason why I felt like it was a great cache outing. But it was just so much fun to feel like I was flying from cache to cache, kind of racing around, getting those finds. So that's where I set the bar for a great geocaching adventure.
That sounds like a wonderful day out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, fair enough. It's hard to match that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, recently there was a post, I believe from you, on the geocaching.com blog about Signals Labyrinth. So we're excited and curious to learn all about that tonight. We get the sense that Signals Labyrinth is another souvenir promotion, but, far be it from us to guess. You're the expert. How many gajillion souvenirs can we earn with Signals Labyrinth?
So there are 13 souvenirs in total that can be earned.
Number.
Oh, good. I'm glad. Lucky 13. That's what they say, right?
Yes.
So 13 available. So the Signals Labyrinth is going to last for 12 months. And there's going to be 2-month intervals in this challenge. And for each interval, a cacher can earn 2 souvenirs. And then if they earn all 12, so each pair of souvenirs for each interval, then they get a 13th souvenir for doing it all. So 13 available.
Nice. Now, you mentioned souvenirs. We all love these digital souvenirs that we've been getting. I mean, we all climb the mountains. We've, done the 31 days of August, how far you want to go back. We love these souvenirs. When can we start getting them? And how do we earn each one? I mean, two per period, there's got to be some challenge in there.
Yes, there is. That's a great question. So everything kicks off Monday, April 4th. And then this is important. It's Monday, April 4th at noon UTC. So for us in the Pacific Northwest, that will be 5 a.m. So that shouldn't be too difficult. We won't be, I think, worried about getting out too early.
So all that geocaching I do at 2 a.m. is not going to count.
Yeah. So that's why it's important to remember, because if you're in the habit of posting logs at 2 a.m. and you think, hey, it's April 4th, well, you got to wait until 5 a.m. if you're here in the Pacific time zone, especially if we have any listeners in like New Zealand or Australia. It's a bigger deal over there as far as the making sure with the time difference goes. But yeah, so you can start earning souvenirs April 4th at noon UTC. And then I'm also want to make sure I mentioned that, so there's 13 available souvenirs, but similar to how Reach the Peak went, they're not all available at once. And I kind of mentioned that earlier too, because they're limited within each 2-month interval for Signals Labyrinth. So you'll be able to start working towards the first two souvenirs this coming Monday at noon UTC. And then I believe you also asked about how you can earn the souvenirs. So this is a leaderboard challenge. So you want to go out and find caches, log them, adventures as well. And that will give you points on your leaderboard, of course, I'm sure, as you all know. And if you earn 50 points on your leaderboard, that gets you the first souvenir for that labyrinth, because each period of the challenge has a different labyrinth that's associated with it. So 50 points gets you the first souvenir, and 500 points gets you the second souvenir.
Very cool.
Nice. So you heard that, Wits End? You may be at work for an hour before you can log your first cache on Monday.
That's okay.
Indeed. I'm noticing, as you said, Genevieve, it runs right through the summer and the winter into almost next spring, right up to February of next year. So this one will be going for a while. See My Shell is watching. Hey, See My Shell. says it's a really big deal here. And I guess that's in Australia, 10 p.m. AEST 4422. Very cool. I was just thinking, like, the Signals Labyrinth and with GeoWoodstock, and we're going to have the GPS Adventure Maze. So when it's time to do the August one, it'd be kind of cool to earn it at the GPS Adventure Maze. That might be kind of fun. But anyways, just thought occurred to me of the how those might align. But
Always thinking.
yeah, the idea, Genevieve, for the promotion itself, and like it's the art looks kind of cool. The premise is a little bit different, with the idea of Signal having to get out of different labyrinths, etc., or puzzles, or however that works. How did the idea come about for this promotion, and what was the inspiration for you?
So the idea came out of a big brainstorm that we had at HQ with folks from different corners of HQ. We wanted to get lots of different voices and like styles of caching in the room. And so we came up with a bunch of ideas, and the things that were really kind of resonating for everyone in that brainstorm was the idea of Signal being a main character. We're a big fan of our mascot. He's a great guy. maybe you've met him before. Yeah, he's a lot of fun, and we thought it would be fun to kind of have a narrative, a little bit more of a narrative to this challenge. Sometimes we have ones that are really narrative focused. Some they're more kind of, the theme is slightly more abstract, but we liked that idea. So having Signal there. And then when we were thinking about the further about the narrative and the theme, we came upon this idea of like labyrinths, mazes, and also kind of, that fantasy element that we get when we think about labyrinths and castles and mystery. And we all got really excited about that. Also, with labyrinths and mazes, it felt like a really natural place to go for this challenge, because labyrinths and mazes are familiar to anyone who gets really into puzzle caches. We have the GPS maze, as you mentioned, of course. So it's kind of a natural pairing with geocaching, with what geocachers are into. And then also we got excited about the possibilities of having this kind of fantasy labyrinth theme, and what the creative team would be able to do with the artwork, and also the like geocoin design that will be coming up with that too. So we felt really good about it, and that's how the idea came about.
Nice. Now, we love the artwork here. I want to share it. Here we go. And the artwork is, I'll use the term amazing. Right? Okay.
Have you ever seen Signal looking so buff?
No. J-Car says we need a Signal action figure.
Yeah. or a Funko Pop.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. There you go. Oh, with all the souvenirs that HQ puts out, where does all this incredible art get produced?
So all of the art, and there is a lot of it, is produced by our 3-person creative team. So they are super brilliant and also super productive. They're coming up with stuff all the time, and they do like the creative work from like inception to the very end of producing the artwork. Because we'll share it with them, and they'll usually be in the conversation too, even when we're coming up with ideas for things like this. And then we'll share, the rough kind of sketch, what we imagine it look like, or similar things that we are referencing when we're talking about it. And somehow they just come up with some like a totally complete vision that is executed just like we see with Buff Signal there. And they always blow me away. I share my ideas with them for what a souvenir might look like, and whatever they return back, the final product, it's always better than I had envisioned. So yeah, we're really lucky to have a really great creative team at HQ.
You really do. We've interviewed
Yeah.
them before, and it amazes me the breadth of their creativity. Right? No two promotions look the same. So
Mhm.
And a question from Gas Station Tuna on this topic. Well, we're on this, Genevieve. Is that the same team that creates the art for the geocoins?
Yes. I think there are a few geocoins that are exceptions. They might be for like different different specific types of like promotions or campaigns, but most of the geocoins, those are designed by our creative team, and definitely all of the geocoins that have to do with any kind of souvenir challenge that we have, the creative team designs all of those.
Makes sense.
There's a lot of talent in that creative team. I have to
Mhm.
agree with what you guys have said. I'm always amazed. So we're after these fantastic souvenirs with souvenir 1 at 50 points and souvenir 2 at 500. See, I was paying attention. Yeah,
did you take notes?
something like that.
Okay.
So 10 times 1 is 2. That's what I'm getting out
Oh.
of that.
Okay.
Wait, no, something like that. Obviously, we need to track our progress and make sure that we're moving right along to get those points to get our souvenirs. How do we do that? Is there a special tracking app just for that? Do we use the geocaching app? Do we use a third-party app, or can we go to the leaderboard, or we go to the website, or do we just call you at home and text you and say, "How am I doing?"
This is a great question. So the best place to go will be a dedicated page that we're setting up for Signals Labyrinth. And you'll be able to reach that page similar to how you would reach the leaderboard page. So this will be separate, its own thing. And it will be a line item. If you're looking at the geocaching.com website, it will be a line item when you go to your dashboard. So if you're looking at the screen there on the left side, it'll be a line item in that same list where the leaderboard is. And it will say Signals Labyrinth. So you click on that, that'll take you to the page. And then it will also be in the app. And in the app, it will be, if you go to your profile, you've got line items there. So there will be one there labeled Signals Labyrinth. Tap on that, it'll take you right to it. And what's really exciting is when you're on the page, the way you get to see your progress. So we'll have kind of that standard presentation you get in the leaderboard, where up at the top, it'll list your points. So it'll be really easy to just, check and see how close you are to the first or second souvenir. But then we'll also have another great thing our creative team has put together is we'll have a digital image of a labyrinth, and we have a little signal that will be moving through it.
Oh,
So
how cool.
yeah, if you took part in Memory Lane, if you remember that, we had, kind of a game piece moving through that Candyland sort of design for a game board. So for this, we'll also be able to see the progress with that signal figure that will move through the labyrinth.
Brilliant. That's awesome.
Oh,
Or
that's
creativity.
cool.
That's great.
That's going to be so much better than the spreadsheet I want to keep.
Well, you can still keep your spreadsheet. We'd love to see it, Chris.
I think I will, just
Okay.
because. Who doesn't love
You
a
can
good
show it
chart?
every Thursday. Let us know how you're doing. Of course, we talked about the art, and we talked about how, and you mentioned, Genevieve, that the same creative team makes the art for some of the trackables and such for these promotions. Will there be any unique trackables or swag coming for HQ for Signals Labyrinth? And I have to ask on behalf of Mrs. Land Monkey, will there be a patch?
Okay, great questions all around there. So at this point, and we do have a whole year for Signals Labyrinth, so things may evolve, but we know for sure that we're going to have some really fabulous geocoins. We don't have any plans in the works yet for a patch, though. Perhaps stay tuned. We'll see what we can work out. Who knows? But we can definitely say that we'll be having some really beautiful geocoins. And everything is, the details are being finalized, so I don't want to give too much away. But we'll have a different geocoin for each of the different labyrinth locations. And since there are 6 of them, You'll have the individual ones, but you should also, if you have all 6, be able to present them together in a way that'll look pretty cool.
Intriguing.
There you go. Now I've got to get all 6.
So there's another scoop tonight, or
yeah, this just
listening. Yeah, no kidding.
Now, Genevieve, can you give me any help for my spreadsheet? Will the scoring change with each one of these periods, or 2-month spans in with the adventure, or the souvenir for the labyrinth?
Yes and no. So, so for each different labyrinth that you'll be in for 2 months, or however long it takes you to get to that second souvenir, within 2 months. So for each one, it'll be the same amount of points required for earning souvenirs. So it'll always be 50 to get the first, and it'll always be 500 to get the second. So that scoring stays the same, but the scoring for the different actions that earn you points, that will change from labyrinth to labyrinth. So what the number of points you earn for logging a multi-cache will probably not be the same in June and July as it is in April and May.
Okay.
Makes sense. Can we jump to the question from Dora Moore? I think that's perfect timing with this question that just came in. Oh,
yeah, maybe.
And maybe if we'll stop fighting over who gets to put the question on the screen. Okay. So Genevieve, Dora Moore is asking in the chat, the blog mentions special labyrinth items. How do you find them, and can you still earn the souvenirs without finding those items?
Okay, I love this question because this is one of the things that is unique about Signals Labyrinth, and it's something that will be important to remember for understanding the points as the challenge goes on. So the special labyrinth items, for the first part of that question there, how do you find them? Well, there's not much that you can do there really is no way to know that you're going to find them. So, for example, we had Wonders of the World, we had Mystery at the Museum, where you could really target specific specific clues, specific wonders, and specific caches. That's not possible with Signals Labyrinth. So it's just going to be chance. And each item is so there will just be one for each labyrinth. So for example, the first labyrinth signals in an enchanted forest, and he has to find fireflies that'll help light the path for him to escape the labyrinth in the forest. So anytime that you log specifically types of geocaches, there's a chance that you might also find a firefly.
It's like a random generator kind of thing.
A little bit, yeah.
A little bit, okay.
And
exciting.
The firefly will also give you points on your leaderboard. So, and it will be a pretty significant boost in your score. So if a cacher is lucky enough to stumble upon a firefly during this first labyrinth, they will be getting to those souvenirs at a quicker rate than cachers that aren't as lucky with that random chance. But I have a feeling most people will be able to find at least one. Okay.
So get out there and get caching starting April 4th at midnight UTC. Okay.
That's right.
Noon UTC.
Noon. Sorry.
UTC.
Yes. 12 noon.
Yes. The anti-midnight.
Yes.
Yes, the actual 12, not the 024 one.
There you go. So once again, great questions from our live chat, and there's tons more there. We'll get to them eventually, but another great scoop, Genevieve. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Well, I see the clock winding down quickly here, and I think we've covered everything that we wanted to ask you. Is there anything else that maybe we missed, maybe you thought of, maybe you have another scoop that you'd like to share with our audience here or with us? We could go offline. You can tell us later. But anything else you want to contribute before we know your time is limited?
I think we've covered all of the big stuff for Signals Labyrinth. I think your listeners will be well prepared for when the clock strikes at noon UTC, April 4th. Yeah, the only other thing that I had wanted to make sure to mention was about those mysterious bonus items, to make sure people had the scoop there. And I'll also mention that the way things are set up, if you want to see the notification that you find one of those banner items, you do have to log your find in the app. So you'll still get points for them, even if you log finds elsewhere. You will absolutely get those, but the sighting of that firefly will happen in the app.
So there you go.
See, Michelle wants to know, will the fireflies animate our phone screen when we log the find?
I wish, but it'll be similar to the kind of banner notification you get if you get a souvenir, or the similar notification for Wonders of the World when you would find a wonder.
Mm-hmm. Kitty Quest wants to know, are the fireflies static or do they randomly move? So if one cacher finds it on a cache and, we all log together, are we all going to get the firefly, or is that random?
Question.
That is random. So there's a chance that you might all get a firefly, but likely that would not happen.
So it's not attached to a specific geocache. It's just like every time you log, there's a random chance you might get that item.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Very cool.
This is exciting.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Our CA777 wants to know if we can find the fireflies during the daytime.
You can, they're just a lot harder to see.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Wonderful. Well, Genevieve, we want to respect your time, and we're so thankful that you came on the show tonight and you're able to share all this amazing early information so that we can be prepared to really have fun with this year's souvenir promotion, Signals Labyrinth. So thank you so much for joining us tonight. We look forward to having you join us again in the future. If there's ever something you want to share with our listeners, we would love to have you come back and join us.
Well, thanks so much for having me. It was a blast chatting about Signals Labyrinth with you all.
Well, thank you. You got out of here with 1 minute to spare. So we kept our promise. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
And listeners, thank you for tuning in this evening for another episode of Caching in the Northwest.
Absolutely. And hold on, wait a minute. I just had a call coming in. Guys, do you mind if I just bring an extra guest? Apparently we just had some more geocaching news come in.
Well, if you have to, I suppose.
I mean, we don't do this, but okay, sure.
All right. Chris, can you bring him in? Just so we're not fighting over it as per usual. There we go.
Look at this.
Hey.
Just hang on.
Hey, RCA 777. Welcome back to the podcast.
Hello. Good to be here.
Yeah, good to see you. Now, you said you had some interesting inside scoop news about the game you were going to share.
Yes, I was actually surprised it hadn't come up earlier, but I know there were some time constraints. So we've all been dealing with the changes just with the game. More people have joined in the past couple of years, and we've obviously seen a lot more new players who are involved now. And a lot of those folks are perhaps not paying too much attention to elements of the guidelines. It's a lot of people playing on their phone. So as in an effort to reduce complexity, simplify the game, HQ are looking at reducing the number of cache types. So today you've got traditional, multi, mystery, letterbox, and where I goes. They're all going to be just considered the physical cache, and Earth caches, webcam caches, and virtual caches will be lumped under a virtual cache, which is easier for folks to remember. And now the plethora of event caches, so regular events, CETOs, GPS Maze, Megas, Gigas, and the upcoming Terra event cache type, those all now going to be considered social caches. So it's a physical, virtual, or social. So smileys work the same way. It's easier because there are times when reviewers will say to a player, I know you're trying to design your cache this way, but using the wrong cache type. Now is it something you placed? Yes, it's physical. Is it something that you can't place it because it's virtual? That matches, or it's social. So they haven't confirmed too much more from that, but
So I mean, an icon run now, or in the future, when this, is there a date when this is?
I haven't seen anything on for release. Right now, we're testing this on one of our pre-beta sites. The icons themselves, the design haven't been confirmed. I think similar to the existing traditional virtual event cache icons. People know what they are. There's enough marketing material out there, swag, etc., etc. It's probably going to be a transition. I don't know all the details yet because we're still working, as I say, with an announcement to try and get people's feedback from our communities. This just seemed like a good opportunity to broach it with everybody.
Yeah.
Makes a lot of
Well-
sense. It simplifies things. And if
Yeah.
you have one of those other cache icon types that doesn't spark joy, you just send it away and lump it under the new one.
There you go.
This is going to make searching so much easier, I think.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's easier for folks when they're just starting off. You can say, is this a physical cache? Yes. Well, everything to do with it needs to be 161 meters, 528 feet.
Yeah.
So Adventure Labs are always separate. So if you think of today, you have the Adventure Lab experience within the Adventure Lab app. That's over here. That's that part of the geocaching world. This is the classic approach to the game. Really, it's just changing the way you refer to the individual cache types.
There you go. Another question: will all current cache types be grandfathered?
The approach is either going to be grandfather everything and leave it as is, and then choose a launch date and go from there. So geocaching 2.0, for want of a better phrase, or to give folks the ability to go in and click edit and change the cache type. And that might be easier from a programmatic perspective because you already know if it's traditional, it can only be a physical. So you can press a button and flip them all over. I'm not sure if that's going to be one button to change all your caches over, or if you can do them individually. I'm hopefully individually, because there are some caches have got some history. People like what they are, but it certainly will reduce things.
Right. Landsharks has a great question here. Does that mean locationless caches will come back as well?
Well, we do have Signal out there.
Yeah, we do.
So, and that would in theory be virtual as well. So I'm not sure that locationless isn't really about being there per se.
Right.
It's more seeing something. So
Well,
I'm not sure if
locationless,
that's
there's no
going to fit.
location. You can't be there if there's
That's
no
right.
there.
You had to be there unless you weren't.
Yeah.
That's right. What is there except here with a T?
Somewhere in between.
That's pretty deep.
Yeah.
It's the with an RE.
Yeah, so it's going to be a bit of a transition for I think existing players when they're creating a new cache page. The types are going to be different, but I'm not sure it's going to make it any more difficult to get it reviewed. Probably easier, in fact. At the same time, if you're a new player, I think this is really drawn to making those folks connect more and engage more with the game, because there's far less for them to know. If you take a new player out with you caching and you'd start blabbering to them all these different things, remember this, remember that, if you go to the posted coordinates, it's one of these cache types, so this should hopefully make it much easier.
Right. Well, on that note, I see a great question from Seema, so we'll get to in a second here. But on that note, I was recently conversing with somebody who was working on developing geocaching policies for one of the land management groups up here, and they were confused around earth caches, and we're talking about how earth caches would need to be labeled on the outside so that people know. And I'm like, I'm not sure you want us to do that, but okay.
Yes.
Take a Sharpie and mark it on this erratic that this is now an earth cache.
Yeah.
Geological virtual caches. So HQ, it's a physical cache, technically.
You
but
physically go there.
That's what Houston, Texas Dave said.
I expect they'll make an exception for HQ or for the things. HQ don't always make exceptions. They who have the gold makes the rules, right?
Yes.
So there's certain panache and a certain je ne sais quoi about going and finding HQ's cache, but it is physical, and that's probably one of the things they're still working out. At this point, it's gauging feedback from folks, because a lot of the time, the feedback you get from letting people know about this helps to guide the end result versus
Mhm.
people who think they've thought of every option in a room, writing a bunch of things and maybe not getting it 100% the first time.
Right.
Excellent. C. Michelle asks another great question. For existing challenge caches where you have to find more than 3 icons in a day, I guess those will just be grandfathered, and
Yep.
you just can't achieve that challenge
Well,
anymore.
again, the
Well,
existing caches being grandfathered,
Yeah.
it might get a little tougher as folks through attrition choose to
Mhm.
change their icons over to the new style. But at the same time, that's similar to caches going by the wayside and churn from being archived. So there are
Mm,
challenges which become tougher each day because the qualifiers disappear. And at some point in time, some challenges won't be attainable. I
right.
think that's much less of an issue with 3 million caches out there in a net new going forward position. But certainly it's going to make for perhaps more challenges coming out for the new types.
So we
Right.
won't see another moratorium on challenge caches necessarily.
I don't anticipate that. Um, i- it's not changing too much about how you play the game or even how you review. It's just more classifying the cache types.
Mhm.
Brilliant. Okay.
Well, and you can still do the icon runs because not everybody's going to want to change their cache type. I mean, they develop this specific set of caches as a multi-cache, and they want to keep it that way.
Makes sense.
So,
And even if people have got things branded, they've got shirts with icons
mhm.
on them. There's definitely that heritage to the game that still continues, but we also know that things evolve over time.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
So it'll be interesting to see how people first approach it. I'm also looking forward to hopefully a whole new batch of trackables coming out, all different shapes and colors. I'm hoping the new icons are at least a little bit different from the old ones. That'll make a big change. But the Terra event, for example, so I think it's a 10,000 person minimum. That's going to be something that's lumped under, and I think that makes it easier as well because it makes the playing field level. Folks will look at an icon and go to the event to be social. They won't just cherry
Right.
pick the certain ones.
Mhm.
They can tell by the number of will attends how special that is, which will probably reduce a lot of overhead for HQ because they
Is
won't have
there
to keep counting attends.
Yeah. Roy, is there a Terra event on the calendars? Like one of the Europe gigas is now Terra, or
I'm aware of there possibly being one in early 2023,
okay.
but I'm not sure whether or not the organizers have been given the heads up yet.
Very cool. Very cool. All right. I don't want to ignore all the comments. There's lots of comments in the chat. We can't keep up with all of them, but definitely, I think one of the key things we've talked about the date of when this change might take place. I think more than likely um, um, midnight UTC for
Yeah, and
sometime very very early April is
make sure
probably
you check your app store for updates because
right.
with the launch
Mm.
of the Labyrinth at the same time, we're making sure that the app is up to date for all the new cache types as well.
Right.
Are there
Okay.
any fireflies involved with this change?
I don't believe there are fireflies,
Okay.
but
No, but great show.
there, that would be. No, I think that it's going to be a transition, but
Mhm.
if we look back at the transitions we've gone through before, and even things like the moratorium on challenge caches, the end result, I think people were happier with it. There was a little bit of a grumble during,
Mhm.
so at least nothing's being taken away. I think it's just being reclassified, which is certainly a different take on it.
There you go.
So that's good.
Wet Coaster asks an interesting question. Might be a bit of a callback to a previous time that Roy was on the show, and he's wondering if caches placed using a drone will get their own icon.
Well, if placing with the drone, in theory, is supposed to go to the location and drop off the cache, but it's physical cache type. I think you're referring to when we used to review the caches with the drones.
Mm.
Right.
That project was shelved. Amazon effectively, we've never seen Amazon deliver things to our houses with
Mhm.
drones. That's all been canned from there. That was like 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, it will be physical placements again. I'm
Yeah.
not sure if they're going to have in the future any other attributes that might cover that. kind of situation. But for right now, it's definitely going to be cache types.
Well, I've seen, speaking of drones, the parks around here, they all, prohibit drone flying. So I think the whole idea of placing or reviewing by drone is pretty much shot down. I mean, flying you have very limited airspace now in which you can fly a drone. So
Yeah.
it's not like it used to be in the early days.
In the early days, all that empty space and nobody was using
Yes.
it. Yeah, it's definitely a changing playing field for the game, but it's also a changing world. So I think we have to recognize all kinds of changes. And as we on the reviewer side of things, we don't typically get too many heads up of brand new things a long time before they're launched, obviously, because HQ need to develop things. This is a thing where we've discussed within our community. It makes our life easier. Less time that we spend on a review means we can do more reviews, which means more caches get out in the field. And at the end of the day, are folks more concerned about the adventure of the cache, logging the cache, getting the smiley? Yes. Were they worried whether it was a letterbox, the posted coordinates with a stamp in it, or just a traditional, or whether it was a reverse where I go, it was a container, you signed a log, you geocache, you made a find.
Is this maybe also because a lot of the types were kind of bleeding over into each other anyways? Like many of the physical caches might, like you're saying, like you can place a traditional, put a stamp in it. Now it's a letterbox, but
and what happens when the stamp goes missing? And so that's a situation.
It's not a letterbox. No, it's a traditional.
It's a traditional, right? And that's exactly. So in theory, if your stamp goes missing from your letterbox cache, you should disable it and perform maintenance because it's not guidelines compliant. And if you don't have a stamp, do you archive it? It's still a perfectly good traditional at that point. So currently, yes, you don't replace the stamp, you archive it, you put a new log in it, you submit it for review again as a traditional. This would skip that step. So that's definitely going to be part of the bleed over. And also, there are many times where people have discussions with a reviewer. Is this a mystery or is this a multi? Well, if you go to the posted coordinates and there's something you read or obtain offset information that you need to find the cache, it's probably a multi. Oh, but what if I go there and I look across the bay and I count the number of towers? Is that a mystery or a multi? That gets rid of all those complications. It's just much easier for everybody involved.
Excellent.
MC3 Cat says if your log goes missing, the whole cache becomes virtual.
Well, there's an archive button for that.
Brightling wants to know, do the different icon types, do they have any new attributes with them?
I doubt it. I know it was... I know people have discussed different attributes at different times. Have you ever noticed when you go the little grid on the side of the cache page, there's only so much space it fits in? And then they do a rearrangement every once in a while. They kind of rename an attribute here and there. Front yard cache, whatever it's called nowadays. Some come, some go, but they never seem to expand them because I think they've pretty much covered all the bases. But I'm guessing that on the back end of things, it's a computer, it's a database. To us, they can just press a button and make a whole new attribute. But I'm quite sure there's indexing and what happens with the API partners and legacy apps and GSAC. GSAC would know about it. So I'm not sure the attributes are really going to be on the table. Whereas at least when they go to physical, things like GSAC they can make a modification in the API to make it all appear like the traditionals. So it'll hopefully be an easier way to process things.
Very cool. All right. Well, I think that probably covers off the stuff there. Roy, was there anything else?
Well, I'm just looking forward to seeing everybody at GeoWoodstock.
Yes. Me too.
It'll be so much fun.
So at this point in time, I know that there's at least half a dozen of the Canadian reviewers will be there.
Well, it's going to make it easier for the people who want to do an icon run at GeoWoodstock as well, right? Because now we were putting out all kinds of different events and everything on the Friday before, and there's so many different cache types in Abbotsford so that people could do like 12, 13 icons in a day. Well, now you only need to do 3. That makes it a lot easier. You can just spend the day.
Complete the set.
Yeah,
it makes the geocoins easier too. There's fewer icons to be drawn, and I think
go.
that the less colors you use, the cheaper they are to make. So
Now,
Something like that. Yeah, we should probably
going
talk
back-
to Land Sharks about that.
going back to the GeoWoodstock thing, aren't all Canadian reviewers required to go to GeoWoodstock?
I hope so.
If someone were to provide a lot of them tickets to get there, I'm sure that would make it much
Oh, I
easier.
see.
But you know that really, really big chunk of stuff directly above the US, right? So it's getting from side to side there. That's problematic at times. I know I'll be there.
Wait, you're saying that whole thing above the US is Canada?
Most
Yeah.
of it. Most of
Okay.
it. There's a chunk that isn't. So we have reviewers across from west to east and east to west, north to south. I know that a few folks have made the plans already. Some are still looking at whether they can make it out there. But I am looking forward to seeing so many people out there. And someone's probably going to end up handing me a microphone at some point in time. And what kind of damage can I cause there? So it'll be certainly an intriguing experience.
I don't know. What kind of damage could you possibly cause anytime you get behind a microphone?
That's
Really?
right.
Who am I to deprive you of me?
Exactly.
Oh,
So
okay.
we wouldn't want
Now,
to
with
have that.
that in mind, maybe we shouldn't have had you on tonight. Oh,
Story of my life.
regret. Oh, too funny.
I think
That-
actually,
but,
I see
you know-
Land Sharks have got a good comment there.
which one's that?
After their 3-icon run, they can spend the rest of the day volunteering at the registration event.
There you
Mhm.
go.
you
Indeed.
saved a lot of time. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Brilliant. Okay. Let's see. Was there? Well, we were talking about GeoWoodstock, and so Roy, looking forward to seeing you there. Chris and Jim, hopefully you guys will be able to make it up for that as well. And then the following
I
week.
thought
you're
about
down
it.
in
Yes.
Seattle. Yeah.
You'll know me. I'll be the one that looks like me.
I don't know.
Ah.
Every time I've planned to come in the past, it's been postponed. So maybe I shouldn't plan to come.
Okay. So Jim, don't plan to come.
Okay.
Just do it like totally last minute.
Right. Got it. That's
All
in my
right.
wheelhouse.
Oh, is that tomorrow? I guess I could get up there.
Just go for ice cream in BC. It's easy.
There you go. It's excellent. Yeah, lots to do, lots to see, and now it'll be even easier, right? Because
Mhm.
3 icons.
Yeah, much better. So that's good. It's funny.
Yeah.
I'm tired because here I remember I'm 3 hours ahead of you.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Right.
So it's
So,
12:48 a.m. So
what's the
I'm
date there,
surprised I'm
too?
still perking. April 1st.
oh, okay. Good.
There you go.
So, how is tomorrow? Is it okay?
It's not bad so far. I haven't won any
Okay.
lotteries yet, so
No, bummer.
No.
Okay. Well, let me know.
it works.
do your best.
Well-
All right. Well, why don't we? I think we can.
This
move
has been
towards
an
the end
odd
here.
show because it's kind of backwards, but not
Yeah.
quite. We just took bits out. So let us
we'll
know
move
if you
things
like
around.
it. Maybe a more information packed show is something you were looking for.
Indeed.
But folks, thanks for tuning in to this unusual show. We hope you enjoyed it.
We really did. And I want to take a moment to thank Land Sharks and Gold Country Geotourism and GeoWoodstock, our corporate Denali level sponsors. And GeoWoodstock is the event that we are the official podcast of. Landsharks.ca is the outdoor adventure and geocaching store. Last day of their sale. Get in there before midnight Pacific online. Check them out online, and they're shipping online orders all the time. So again, that's landsharks with the Z.ca. And again, as we always say, for absolutely amazing geocaching adventures, check out exploregoldcountry.com.
And there's no time limit on that one. You don't have to get in before midnight or anytime UTC.
But don't leave it too late, because there's
That's true.
amazing adventures to be planned for sure. And with in early April, no fooling, the Canadian border entry requirements to have a negative test are going to be removed. So it'll be a lot easier to come up here and explore Gold Country. So there you go. All right. We also want to thank our faithful Denali level supporters. That's Landsharks with the Z, Gold Country Geo Tour, Team Squirrel Groovy Owl, and Cachly, the geocaching app. If you want to know more about supporting this show, click the Patreon link on the cachingnw.com, a website.
Like, boom! Boomer 365 dud. That's Boomer with a B.
Hacker has no bees, but
But I was waiting for the. It's kind of leaving us hanging there, Jim. So much suspense.
that's how I
Well,
do it.
also the Geo Travelers.
And you talks to rocks.
And Kitty Quest.
And asking wonderful questions tonight, Dora Moore.
Our underground friend, Subway Mark.
And Drexer.
And T. Sayer.
How about Segehove?
MC3 Cats.
As we like to say, terrible lunch, great geocacher, gas station tuna.
Finally, her name matches her location, Peach of Washington.
How about On a Boat?
How about Wino Seattle?
How about my friend M Nerve?
How about Seebeck Tribe?
And Korsgat.
B Pendragon.
Camp Clan?
Kittlebarb.
Kev MacD, the man of many suits.
Antaeus?
Alarobrick.
Greenwords.
Fairwood West?
Udak.
Geo Nav Pros.
Logwork?
Tickameganet.
How about Keats 94, the very adventuresome one?
How about 3 Hams and a Rose?
Yeah, I think shows around this time of year are one of his favorites, if I understand correctly.
I think so.
Yeah. How about Ari 54321?
CRS 98.
Genies?
Just finding our way.
Wet Coaster.
Broncos fan for life.
Sorry, Chris cracked me up with his very passionate way of saying that. Limax.
Donners.
GSM times 2. Can't fool him.
No. And Kid Vegas 19.
Team Noltex.
Sprouter?
My favorite kitchen appliance, the LG 9000.
And Skyhawker.
There we go.
Suspense.
So, Cache Shadow, RCA 777 there. Somebody wanted to get in touch with you and ask you more about these cache types. How could they do that?
Just reach me through my profile page for Cache Shadow online. That's the best thing to do it. And use the send email link. The message center, it goes off into an auto-responder bot because
Okay.
it's evil.
It's evil. And as a reminder, it's already April 1st there, so you can cross that border without a test requirement.
Right, but I think I've missed a Landshark sale.
Oh, yeah. Well, no,
Oh,
they
yeah.
sail through midnight Pacific, I think. So.
Oh, okay, just checking.
There you go.
You can jump online and do that.
Indeed.
And folks, thanks for taking the time to listen to this episode of Caching in the Northwest. Your support helps keep the quality shows coming. If you like the show, click the Patreon link on the CachingNW.com website. If you didn't like the show, let us know what you want us to talk about. In either case, please subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Spotify, and more. Subscribe, give us a thumbs up, or even a review. You can call in to 253-693-TFTC and leave us a comment, ask us a question, or, you know what? Help us get over the border any time of the day or night. That may not be the sound advice I think it was before I said it out loud.
Much better in your head. Yeah.
It was, yeah. And of course, you can email us at feedback@cachingnw.com or at the Border Retention Center, wherever we happen to be. Join us every Thursday night at 9 p.m. Pacific for a live show and often livelier chat. The show is produced by Chris Umfenauer, Jim Paulwitz, and Jay Kennedy. It's licensed under a Creative Commons Attribution 3.0 license. Copyright 2022 by Chris Umfenauer. And folks, I ask you to stay tuned for
The After Show.
See, we got a whole bunch of comments.
the
flagged.
after show. Let's see.
We're in the after show. Let's see. It skipped down. We had some podcast baking from Start Cacher. Or as he
Bacon?
likes to say, hashtag podcast bacon.
I could hang with him.
Ooh. He sent us pictures before of his hashtag podcast bacon.
There you go. He says, I ran out of cooked bacon from my last time about 2 months ago, so I am once again baking 4 pounds of bacon. It'll take 6 to 7 batches to do it all, and the house smells great. I bet it does.
Sounds
4
like a Costco run
pounds
to me.
in 2 months? I'm thinking you're not trying hard enough.
Yeah.
Oh, too funny.
He must ration it just right.
Oh, very good.
Indeed.
Oh, this isn't any Fatas, but Divino says, I think fireflies would give Signal heartburn.
They could. That's what the bacon's for.
Oh.
It's like the flaming hot variety of fireflies.
Yeah.
Aren't they all hot? Oh, sorry. That was gas station tuna. Fully agrees with this about the icon types.
Well, the timing is
or anything.
Or
I was gonna
bacon.
say,
You know what? I'm just going
Fully
to keep
agrees
that
with
up there.
bacon.
You could just paste that every now and again to back up an argument.
We're going to hold that comment, gas station tuna, and just reuse it whenever it's convenient for us.
Yes, I agree. That's about time, honestly.
What else have we got? Keats94 is a new episode going live tomorrow at 10. Time away in Tawasin. He's going to talk about unique cartographical error in that episode. Wonder if that's Wayne Roberts, but we'll find out. Check it out tomorrow. There you go. Tomorrow will be a great day to go to YouTube. Earlier tomorrow morning, I'm going to have my next episode of our Bermuda adventures go live as well, and we're going to show you some secret spots that you might not
Nobody
find.
else knows about,
well,
except
I
everybody
mean-
else in the video.
Except for everybody in the video, but and once you watch a video, you'll know about them. But some pretty cool spots, so you won't want to miss
These
that.
no longer secret spots.
Exactly.
Did you publish any shorts from Bermuda?
If I was thinking, I would have, but I've got content I probably could use to do that. That's pretty smart.
There you go.
Bermuda shorts. I like it, Jim.
Isn't
Right.
he Weird Al's drummer?
Yes.
And yeah,
Did you find a triangle while you were in Bermuda?
we found several. Yes, but then we got lost.
Lost
Is it a
footage.
Star?
Gas station tuna. He's like reading our show notes. Stop it.
Yes, he's on the ball
Or
tonight.
we'll
that's
just
for sure.
use your one ambiguous comment everywhere.
That's right.
You get T-shirts.
There you go. In fact, that is probably a good T-shirt for this pod. Caching in the Northwest. I fully agree. It's about time. I like it. It's our new show slogan.
Oh, hey folks, thanks for joining us. And until next week, get out and get caching in the Northwest.